I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy, you can if you tell. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for another brand new episode, and this is going to be an episode talking about the Expanse Method. So if you are curious, go ahead and check it out on my website, and you can also book a session there. Yeah, I kind of messed up my timing because I'm about to launch into. With all of that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram with the Past Life Regressionist, or you can book through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now, it's time to begin. Jen, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm very well, much better than February. Glad spring is on the way.
So for context for everyone, we are recording this the first week of March. And yeah, you guys just had some wild weather there in the Northeast, right?
Yes, a lot of snow. Now it's raining. It's warming up a little bit. The snow is melting.
Until the next snow, right?
Yeah.
God willing.
What is that, like third winter or whatever they say?
I don't know.
That's how it is out here. You're on the West Coast, so you don't have the fun Pennsylvania weather we get.
Yeah, it was 97 here last Friday, the end of February. It's probably in the 80s today. It's been a warm winter here. But I guess we're not here to talk about the weather because I don't think people tune in for the weather on this podcast, especially because it's like whenever you see someone on the street, hey, what do you think of the weather? Instead of like talking about deep stuff. I don't know. I think it's a funny joke. That's why sometimes I talk about the weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, do you want to tell everyone just a little bit about yourself? Who is Jen?
Sure. Well, I'm not a big fan of labels, but for the sake of who I am, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter. Mom first. I homeschooled 2 out of 3 of my kids. My oldest goes to a music school locally in the Valley. I have been everywhere from a teller at Wells Fargo, a Starbucks barista, health coach, and now I lead a local farmers market, the Emmaus Farmers Market, which I value local food and the culture, the community, all of it, just supporting local farmers. I love asking questions. I'm a seeker. I want to know the answer to things. I don't feel like everybody has the same answer, and that's okay. I love learning about spirituality, life. I believe in God, higher power, and that's kind of what brought me here, asking questions.
Also, Jen was one of the winners of the free session giveaway for the Expanse Method. So congratulations.
Yeah, that was really awesome and unexpected. And I do feel like it happened for a reason.
I agree.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I put my faith in God on that one, that everything happens for a reason. Even the stuff we perceive to be not so good.
Yeah.
But I still don't have to like it.
That's true. Yeah, I feel that too.
But what do I know? I'm just a dumb human.
Yeah, aren't we all figuring it out? Do we even know what we're doing here?
I think most of us claim not to know. I think there are a couple who say that they know. I'm sure they know the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Socrates said it best, or loosely based off the Latin translation of, all I know is I know nothing at all. I think that's the wisest person, the one who knows that they know nothing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Pretty sure I know that I don't like hot weather, though. Then again, that's an opinion, not a fact.
Yeah.
But it's a fact for me. Anyways, since I pivoted to the weather again, I'm going to have to do that probably one more time, if we're working the rule of 3 here.
All right.
So why is it you wanted to have a past life regression?
Past lives are something that I've always been curious about. I remember seeing a video a couple of years ago before everything went viral, some YouTube video somebody shared about a child remembering war buddies. And it was some newscast, and he knew these people, and he actually ended up meeting one of the men he was in war with in a past life. And it just made me think, wow, how could a child make that up? I grew up Christian and we never talked about past lives, but it just makes you wonder. And the fact that my friend Kristen tagged me in your post, I had never heard about you. I never thought I could afford a past life regression. I mean, they're not cheap, but they can be very healing. And yeah, I was just thought, well, this is it. I'm supposed to do this. And that's why I did the past life regression and the Expanse method, which was unlike anything I've ever experienced or expected. It was really, really neat.
Thank you. Before we jump into talking about your experience, what was that like growing up in a Christian household where you didn't really explore past lives and then finding yourself in a place years later where you did?
I think I really started questioning spirituality in general in college when I met people from different backgrounds than me. I dated a guy who was Jewish and Irish and joked he was an Irish Jew or Catholic Jew because that is one parent was Jewish, one parent was Catholic. And of course, dating him was my first boyfriend ever. That opened me up to other things. But growing up Christian, probably most impacted by my grandmother, who said, well, you have to be a good Christian. You're kind to others and more Christ-like. And I just never questioned it. We were Lutherans, so we weren't very strict like Catholics, but you still believed in, the Holy Spirit. We believe in Easter, Christmas, all of it. And just never something I was even introduced to. And we weren't a strict Christian family. Like I did go to church. I was baptized. I was confirmed. I went through that whole process. But after college, I didn't really go back to the church, and I still haven't found a church I feel is right for me. But I have my faith, try to read the Bible, which is really hard sometimes. And I don't know, there's just more out there. And I know there were even chapters taken away from the Bible. So what was in that? I don't know. Again, just asking those questions and feeling like there is more. And I do feel like in our different lives, we have lessons that we're meant to learn. I talk about that a lot, even with my kids. Well, can you learn from this? What can you learn? Well, there's more than one life. I really do feel deep down.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, what do you feel one of your lessons is this time around?
This time around, people pleasing has definitely been one. In many of my intimate relationships, I've always been somebody apologizing. Like I did one thing wrong. I missed a call. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed your call. Well, you were in class, but there were people I've dated where I felt I always had to apologize, whether that comes from something in a past life, which it probably does too, or in this life as well. Just constantly feeling like I have to make up for something. I'm not sure why, but I've definitely worked on the people pleasing. So that's definitely, and we discussed that a little bit too. I know people pleasing. One lesson for me is I'm not a routine person, which is definitely a struggle as a homeschool mom. I mean, I'm half stay-at-home mom, half market coordinator. So that's what I do. And not having a solid routine, like just going with the flow. I feel like learning a way to structure my day would benefit me. And I'm still working on it. And just being authentic and believing in myself, that's definitely something I'm also working on. Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going. It helps to have a partner, husband who believes in me regardless. That truly does help because I've been through some relationships where I didn't feel I was enough. And I don't know if it's with women too. We just constantly question, are we doing enough every day? Because you have so much on your plate as a mother. I mean, if you have a job, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? It's just so many things every single day thrown at you. Oh, did I set their dentist appointment? The dog needs a walk. And just sitting and being present with that moment, being able to focus is just so important.
Do you mind if I ask you a question about your husband?
Sure.
So you told me that he's a scientist.
Yeah, chemist technically. Yeah, he went to school for chemistry.
What's it like having these types of conversations with him?
It's tough. I will tell you. Sometimes I don't know if he just thinks I'm crazy because he was raised a Christian as well, or if he is fully accepting of it, but he will listen. Like, for instance, I told him about this, but I didn't tell him initially I was doing a past life regression. I told him it would be a long meditation because he took the kids skiing. And that was the way I could have house to myself because my oldest just stayed in his room. But I did tell him then, did you know I had a past life regression? He said, well, yeah, I saw it written on your book you had out. I'm like, okay, so you don't want to know anything about it. But we did go on a date a couple weeks ago between the time we were scheduled to chat and now. And I told him all about it. And he said, what would it be like if I didn't want to hear? I said, well, that would really suck, you know? But he was open to it. And I told him the whole thing. And I think by then I hadn't listened to the recording. So it was all from memory of like 3 weeks before. And he just said, wow, that's really wild. Like that was his response. And it was kind of it. But I was like, yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if we'll talk about the regression at all, but just the connection between how I lost my dad in May and in the regression, I had this, it was all about my father mostly, you know, and that relationship at that time. So yeah, just those parallels in this life and that life and having no idea what would pop up for me. But telling him too in the regression, it almost at times I questioned, I was like, is this really happening? Am I in my head? Am I making this up? You know, but then I thought, I was like, I can't make this up. I'm on a beach with sand and my skin is olive and I'm a man and there's a man. It felt too real. And listening back at it, because I did listen to it when I was sick, it was intense. It was really intense. And I'm really grateful that he does listen to me and he is open to what I believe. But it is tough because we do have different beliefs about the world and how the world is run. And but we also have very similar beliefs too, in family and caring and kindness and loving unconditionally, which is really important in a relationship.
I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. And communication also is so important. I mean, we've been married, I think this year, oh my gosh, yeah, this year's 10 years we're married. I think we're together 12 or 13. That's a long time. And when I met him, I had my son already. So we never really had time to explore just the two of us. And we will someday. But our youngest is 6. So there's a little ways away for that. But yeah, communication is so important. And just, I think I read something the other day about with your partner to make sure when you speak to them, look them in the eyes. And the eyes are, what do they say? The gateway to the soul, or what's that saying?
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. That really stuck with me because sometimes the kids go to bed and we do our thing and we just kind of do our thing and do the dishes or whatever. But I think that's something him and I do need more. And I haven't told him that yet. So it's funny we're talking about it, but how important that is in relationships and to just be yourself and not be afraid to talk to the other person about how you feel, because realistically, we're all human. We're all on this earth plane in this meat suit, figuring it out together. And if you can't be fully yourself with somebody that you want to spend your life with, then who the hell are you going to talk to about everything? So
one thing I want to throw out there, just for everyone to ask themselves, and I think also for you to potentially take away after this, is one, I think it's really cool that you guys, are able to talk about this at the very least. Mm-hmm. Even if you have conflicting views on the world and the way that things work, but that you're at least able to put it out there, even if he doesn't agree with you, which is okay. I mean, not everyone needs to see the same or the world the same way that we do. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's really cool. But that part about communication, I would also wonder, like with that theme, you were talking about a people pleasing, like how does that factor in to that part of the journey? So that's what I would just, the question I would leave for everyone right now. And I don't know, it's just, I heard the word pee-pee and it could have just, been my male brain thinking about what it's like for you to have boys and hearing them, being surrounded by boys. And the other thing is people pleasing, which is what I tried to hone in as an adult. So
Yeah.
did my joke land, or was that not good? Should I have left that on the table?
I just was like, did I say pee pee?
No, that's what I heard in my head.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like pee. Why are we going there right now? So.
People pleasing. Okay, got it. No, that is true. And honestly, I never thought of it that way when I questioned telling him about it, because who likes conflict?
People pleasers don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, honestly, since the pandemic, it's something I have stepped into more, is leaned into conversations that are hard, being more open and honest rather than hiding my feelings. If I'm sad, I'm going to cry. I think that's healthy, and more of us need to do that. I encourage my boys to cry. My oldest, he lost two of his granddads within literally 3 days of each other, and I've not seen him cry. And that worries me, but he's on his own journey, and all I can do is talk about it and be open with him. And then my youngest, can't get his arm out of his shirt, and he's like, it's like the end of the world. But yeah.
I think you're doing okay.
Thanks. I do need to tell myself sometimes. Yeah.
I don't have kids, but from what I hear, if you want him to cry, just take his computer away.
It's funny because that would be my oldest, and we've had to go through that with him. And that was a huge learning process. My two younger ones, we don't even have iPads because we're like, nope, not for you two. Sorry, we learned with the first. And my oldest will be the first to admit that. You should have never given me a tablet. I'm like, I know.
Sounds pretty wise to me.
Yeah. But now he has a phone, and he has his Chromebook for school. And yeah, I can't protect them from everything. And at some point, you just have to kind of wipe your hands and be like, I'm here for you. Just don't watch too much like stupid shit, and don't watch too much scary stuff, because I just don't think, horror things kind of freak me out anymore. But
yeah, I don't like horror movies. They scare me.
As a kid, I used to watch them. My mom loves horror movies. So it's almost like I was a little desensitized at that time, but now I'm like, no. But I also went to see the new movie, Iron Lung. Some big guy on YouTube came out with my oldest, because he's old enough to see a rated R movie, and did it. It wasn't terrible, but it wouldn't be my choice. Go to the movie theater and see that. I don't see movies very often. So,
I think that's a 20th and 21st century issues that we came here to learn, what it's like to watch movies and tablets. Although I'm sure that one will continue on for a while. Yeah. Anyways, how are you feeling? So far, so good?
Yeah, this is fun. Just chatting. Yeah. That's actually one thing I have done since the regression is watch movies for some reason. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Like we watched The Matrix the other night. That's a good one.
I think that there are some elements of reality to that movie.
Yeah. And I think I saw it in college when I probably wasn't sober. So seeing it now as a mother and, living to 42, knowing what I know, I was like, this movie, there's so much truth in this, man. And I watched it with my 17-year-old. So that was kind of cool.
He's like, oh, this classic movie.
Yeah, but he's also like on Reddit. He's like, well, what does this mean? I'm like, can you get off your freaking phone and watch a movie? You don't need to look up things on Reddit right now, dude. But he knew more about the movie than I remembered, because he's on the internet and they can find everything. It's just fascinating, but also terrifying what is out there.
Yeah. I know, higher, lower octaves, you can always go down rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah.
With that as my hard pivot now, I can't think of any other transition. What was the regression like for you?
The regression was very eye-opening. It was hard to get there at first. I think I've been hypnotized one other time when I participated in something called Marconics. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Mm-mm.
and I felt tingly, and I honestly don't remember it very well, but it was so fascinating staring at something and eventually it taking me to another world that I didn't expect. I think in my mind, and I'm sure many people are like this, you think it's going to be like a dream sequence on a TV show. Like, oh, you hypnotize and you're looking at the little watch and then you go into this other place. And it wasn't like that, of course. But what was interesting to me, and we talked about this afterwards, how much more quickly things came to me once I allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like this perfect picture I saw, but I think you said, like, look down at your hand or look down at your feet and what are you wearing? And I was wearing, I couldn't even say it was a sandal. It was like a sandal moccasin type thing. I didn't know it, but it wasn't a normal shoe. And even like colors weren't coming through right away, but eventually, and listening back to the regression, I mean, I was just quickly seeing things and things were happening. But I think what surprised me also was how much emotion came through. I really didn't anticipate crying I mean, I felt a pit in my stomach when I'm in the regression. I found out in the beginning my son was gone, and then eventually we realized my son was dead. And then by the end, we realized I felt like it was my fault because I sent him away. I have two sons, but I wasn't connecting with that in that moment. I was connecting with that time, whenever it was. I think we discussed later, you think it might have been Spain where I was?
I think there were indicators of that, if I remember
Indicators.
correctly.
And you know what's funny? We go to the library at least a couple times a month as a homeschool family. And I was like, I'm just going to look up and see if there's any books on Spain. And there are some really interesting castles that I truly don't think I've ever seen before. Spain is one country I don't know much about. Okay. But looking at it and looking at some of the beaches, my mouth was wide open, like, oh my gosh, maybe that's actually where I was. And yeah, the regression in the moment was really profound, knowing I was this other man and the struggles that I had. And then later realizing how many parallels it had to my life right now, especially, like I said, with the father connection. Love both my parents to death, but they had some challenges growing up, my parents in my life now. And in the regression, my father was this just terrible, nasty. I mean, he terrified me. And my dad was like that a little bit when I was younger. He wasn't always nice. And it wasn't until I feel like my sister and I, left the house, and we had many other things that happened when I went to college and she was still home, but that I feel like our relationship got closer, and mom and dad had time to do their thing too. And my sister and I learned more about ourselves and became more authentically Jen and Krista. And so my dad, I lost him in May, and he would come over to the house all the time because he was retired and just stop by and hang out with the grandkids and just, but then he'd leave and go. But growing up, it wasn't always like that. It was challenging, and he wasn't always nice. Nothing like the father in my, in my regression. But it makes me wonder, were they the same soul? I didn't see another issue, or something else that popped up in the regression was about emotion, which I already kind of talked about. And I'm trying to remember exactly what came through. It was something about how he didn't want me to cry. Tears, men shed blood, not tears, or something like that. It was like something that came through. And it was just shocking to me to hear something like that. And I don't know if I mean, I've seen my dad cry when our dog passed, when his dad passed and things, but he really did struggle with emotion and expressing it. So I don't know. I'll never know. But at the end of the regression, this was the most profound. And I did not know. I think I might have known you did this because I had listened to a podcast before when you said, now you're going to look up and you're going to see two chairs. And I want you to think really hard of who you want to bring back from this life. And because it ended up being the same life the whole time. I know in some circumstances, it's different lives people see, and it's, similar themes. For me, it was one life. And we did jump around in it, which I didn't know going back listening too. But anyway, you had me choose one person, and I could have chosen my father, of course, my wife, my mother, my son, or there was another man at the end who, at the beginning and the end, who was comforting me about my son. He said, think really hard about who you're going to bring back. And I knew, like, instantly it had to be my father. And he came back, and he was this huge, like, big man, strong man, very intimidating man. I just remember him being so much bigger than me. He had a robe on. He was a good looking man, black hair. I can picture him. I should probably just sketch it. Honestly, I've thought about that. That's one thing I've been doing, is painting since I've had the regression. But he came back, and I felt a little uneasy. And you said, now I want you to tell him anything you want to tell him. I honestly don't remember what you said. And I barely even remember what I said, even listening back at it. But I let him have it. And one of the first things I said to him, though, which kind of surprised me, was I still loved him, even though he was a terrible father. And I was sorry because I left. I was like, why am I apologizing? But I felt that I needed to, because how would he know why I left? And his mouth was just wide open. He was in complete shock. Like, he had no idea why I had ever left. He just sat there and listened to me. And I remember saying, and it's okay to cry. Men can cry, and they should cry. It's normal. It's human, or whatever I said. And then he just got up and he came over to me and hugged me. And I think I just bawled. It just was, and to have this big man, I could feel it, could feel this hug. And maybe you said a few things, and then I said a few things, like, how are you? You were always checking in on me too. So I do want to say that, like, the entire time I felt safe. You checked in from the moment I walked into the darkness, because that's what you do. You said, does it feel safe? I said, yes, every time. How do you feel? And you never once also told me what was happening. I've spoken to other friends who have had past life regressions, and they said, oh, yeah, well, I was, a follower of Jesus or whatever. I said, how did you know that? Well, she told me. I'm like, oh, Daniel didn't tell me anything. He asked me questions the entire time. And that's one thing I emphasize with my husband, is you not once told me, oh, I think you're in Spain in the regression. I mean, later on, you said it's something you enjoy trying to figure out, maybe where people were, of course, but you never once said, oh, you're in Spain, your father is a ruler, or you never said that. It was all me. So anyone out there who is questioning doing a past life regression with you, I just want to emphasize, if you are unsure if this is safe, if you are unsure if you think demons are going to come in, because that was a concern. A few friends of mine actually sent me messages, Jen, I don't know if you should do this. I want you to listen to this podcast about past lives and past life regression, and I did. I said, thank you for saying this. I will look into it. And I did. But you never once made me feel uneasy. And I just wanted to emphasize that. And I emphasize that with my husband too, that everything that came from me. You were a guide. You held my hand and made me feel safe throughout the journey, basically, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you. Just to go back to the end of that regression, because that's something I've held on to. So we hugged at the end. You and I said a few things. I don't remember what. And then
also, really quick, when she's saying all these things, it's metaphorically speaking, because we were on opposite ends of the country. So
Yes. No,
I
yeah,
was
you are not physically
metaphorically,
holding.
yeah, metaphorically holding her hand.
Yeah. Yeah, we were, which is also really wild. I thought, wow, how are we going to do this? You know?
That's because I'm just asking questions. I mean, you're the time traveler. You're the one that
Yeah.
has that ability inside of you.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, yeah, I think he might have said, I'm sorry, my son, to me. He didn't say much. He did not say much to me. And I did see a tiny tear trickle down his eye. I remember seeing that. And he started to walk away. And I told you all this because you said, what's happening now? Because it's not like you can see what's happening. I need to tell you. And you said, do you want to give him another hug? And I said, yeah. And I was still bawling. I'm crying. And he turned around and he gave me another hug. And then he turned around to leave. And I said, until we meet again. And he said, until we meet again, my son, and gave me this like this little nod. It was so subtle. And then he just walked and faded away. And I just felt this weight lifted. And it truly makes me a little emotional every time I have told somebody about that part, because I don't remember that entire life. But to have someone one apologize to you, even though he just said, I'm sorry, it just it was cleansing. It was healing. It was necessary. And maybe I needed that from my dad too, because there were things that we didn't get to apologize for, or you know what I mean? I don't know. And when he said, till we meet again, my son, or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to have another baby? I'm like, no, no, no. Things like that. Like you start thinking things like that. But I just wonder, is that in another life? Is that in this life? Doesn't mean anything.
Well, it could.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate everything you said there. And I mean, that is one of the things that I don't ever like to tell anyone anything, because I think questions are the best way to get to the truth, because
Yeah.
I don't know. So with that, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you see any parallels even from the conversation we've had today? Just think a little outside the box right now. Think to the beginning of this recording, even when we're talking about this life right now.
With my father, or with my husband, or my sons.
What was that thing that he said to you about seeing you again?
I'll see you again, my son. Oh, about my dad. Seeing.
Think about what he said there. What were those words?
Till we meet again.
Go back to the beginning of it. I'll see you again. Who?
My son.
What were we talking about at the beginning of the recording today with your son?
The microphone. Sorry. 'Cause I have two sons, so I'm trying to figure out which one we're.
Why did I bring up the thing about the computer?
Oh, how when we had an issue with the sound,
No, about a way to
he
make
helped us.
a way to make a he's a Gen Zer, right? He's like on the tail end of it.
Yeah, 2009.
What's a good way to make a Gen Zer cry?
Take away his phone.
So yeah, I'm kind of working backwards here about how the conversation got to there.
Yeah.
So why I made that suggestion? What was it you said that where I was like, oh, how do you make him cry?
Just keep space open for him.
Do you see any parallels to anything that was said there? What was said to you?
Oh, trying to be very present and not go back in time.
I don't think I'm grasping on straws here too much.
No. I feel like you're my teacher and you're asking me questions and I don't know the answer.
Literally what was said at the end there. See you again, what? Or were you taking that statement too literally?
My son? You think my son is my dad? Do you think my son is my dad? Was my dad? Is that what you're kind of...
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting.
Yes.
When that statement was made about, what was it about the tears or blood with tears or the blood of, what was that?
It was Men don't shed tears, they shed blood.
Men don't shed tears, they shed blood.
And my oldest has trouble emoting. Yeah.
So what was that thing that was said about the son? I'll see you again. What?
Till we meet again, my son. Meaning it's my son.
Maybe. Because I see the parallel there of someone who needs help expressing emotions. And isn't it interesting that what was said was about, avoid crying at all costs, basically, in that life. And that if that man who was your father didn't learn that lesson in that life, that he may come back in a role where you could teach him that lesson.
I'm trying. Yeah. And the reason that you said about, you're asking me all these questions, you were saying about the computer taking things away. He helped us because we had an issue with my microphone before. And he was the one who was home and came down. And I literally clicked things. And you were there. I said, all right, all I did was I clicked this and I clicked that. And he was like, well, Mom, you're on the wrong one. I said, I know, because I just clicked the wrong one. And now I'm going to click this one. And you're like, I can hear you. And I said, well, I guess I just needed your presence to make this work, Rivers.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Jen.
So that's why I went there. But yeah, I didn't think of that.
I don't know. It could be. It's just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, do we really know?
I don't know, but sounds like you're doing okay so far.
Yeah.
If that's one of the lessons that he came back to learn.
Yeah. I definitely think it is. Yeah.
I can't think of a better teacher then.
Yeah. True.
So what's coming up for you?
Well, we're talking about my sons and just how similar but yet opposite my two sons are too, because I told you how my youngest is so overly expressive. And I mean in everything, like the way this 6-year-old can draw a picture of nature. I show people, they're like, your kid did that? I'm like, yes, he doesn't just scribble or draw like a stick figure. I probably have something around that he made, but it's truly just fascinating. I mean, here's one with a stick figure, but.
Okay, let's stop being humble for a moment.
Okay.
Can you just give yourself some credit? For everyone who can't see her right now, she's patting herself on the back.
Give myself a hug. Didn't we do that in class as kids in like elementary school? They're like, now give yourself a hug. We should do that. A little pat. Come on, Daniel. No.
I mean, for me, I kind of just get caught up in, like, as you and I were talking about even before the recording started, pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Like my job is pattern recognition, recognizing patterns in every way, shape, and form. And I'm always listening. That's the other thing too, because it's like something you said over here could be very relevant over here when it has nothing to do with what's being spoken of over here.
Yeah.
And I just find it fascinating that these patterns reoccur and that it's present in your life potentially in a different way.
Yeah.
And that there's so much more to absorb even after the fact when we look at the parallels between what comes up in regression and what is playing out in our life right now and those threads of lessons. And as a past life regressionist, I kind of even am seeing right now that I think my ideology was very off for a very long time, because I think I always boiled it down to kicking the can down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would say, like, if you're aware of an issue, why kick the can down the road? Why not deal with it now instead of having to deal with it in another life? Because if it's a thread that's left unthreaded, I don't know if that's the expression for that one, or unfinished, then I do believe you're just going to have to pick it up in another life. But I think I was so focused on the negative stuff instead of the beauty of the reciprocity. And I think we can even call this karma in one way or another, whatever that concept is of balancing something out. Because let's just say that the man who was your father in that life was or is your son in this life. I think a lot of people would view through the karmic component through the lens of eye for an eye. He was that way to you in one life. So in order to balance that out, you would be that way to him in another life. Or he would have to show up in a completely different way, which is entirely possible also because you only saw one life. So who knows, out of the hundreds or thousands of different lives that we may have. And it may be the balancing comes from him being your son and you teaching him how to express himself in a healthy way. So it doesn't come to that point where the pattern repeats itself and the thread is closed and it doesn't go down the lineage. So what comes up for you with that?
I think it's possible. I think it's also interesting that he was given me and his biological father isn't part of his life. I had him 3 years on my own as a single mom, met my husband, and my husband and him are close, but you get older, you have different interests. My husband's an outdoorsman. He's more of a techie guy. He's into his music. He studies music now, but they don't have that father-son that they used to when he was younger. So that's kind of what came up for me is, if Rivers is my father from the past regression, from my past life, it's interesting that he's here now with me. I mean, he's come to me with questions about being a boy because he's so comfortable with me, And I've said to my husband, you got to take over at some point. Like, I'm perfectly okay. That doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. That's just who I am. But he's my bud. Like we've been together a long time. I mean, obviously he's my son, but he came at a time where I wasn't ready. I didn't know I was going to have a baby. And him coming into this world has truly shifted it. Like, I think everybody has a time in their life where their reality shifts. And of course, becoming a mother, becoming a parent, things change. Like, once that kid is here, your life is never the way it was. I had him when I was 25, and the amount of lessons I've learned along the way from him, or even just where my life took me. I've often said I got the job as a teller at Wells Fargo because I needed a steady 9 to 5. I never wanted a 9 to 5. I went to school for theater. I wanted to just waitress and do good theater. And I was an actor. I never called myself an actress because I didn't want to feel like some Hollywood girl. I wanted to make people think and feel. That was always my goal on the stage. And I always preferred the stage over screen because it's so different. And I know you perform, right? You're a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know that feeling. But when I had my son, one thing I did was I joined an improv group for the first time. I was always in my head in college and I felt like I had to be funny and on stage. I remember crying in one of my acting classes because I just couldn't come up with the words on stage. And then I had auditions for this improv troupe. He was probably 3 months old when I went to this audition because my mom said, just do it. We'll watch him. It'll be fine. And I got in. And then for the first show back, they chose 4 of us. I was one of the 4 people they chose for this improv group to go back. And I was like, why? I have to ask you, why did you pick me? Because I am not one of the best ones. Like, I'm really not. And he said, well, Jen, you're a good listener, because I would listen and respond. I'm like, oh, well, thanks, But now I'm just saying another parallel. My son has been really interested in comedy, but is really scared of, he has struggles to come out of his shell, so to speak. There's an improv group at the school that he's part of now. So it's like wild that my son is now doing improv, who would go to the improv rehearsals with me when he was like 2, But bottom line is this kid has shifted my life in so many ways. And maybe he's going to be a senior next year. It's so odd to think like your kid is going to be graduating. What's he going to do? And I have such a different mindset than the one I grew up with, where you have to go to college and you have to get a job. And I was like, dude, I'm 42 years old. I don't even know what I want to do with my life, and helping him figure that out, but also, like you said, figure out how to sit in the hard times and really feel. That is something I can help with. And I just need to figure out how to reach, how to he's going to come at his own time. That's one of the biggest struggles as a parent is you can't make your children do things, and they are a born person. Like, they are who they are through and through, and they're not going to change until they want to make a change. Just like any of us, like you said, we know what we need to do. Like, I know I want to get up every morning and go for a walk and make a smoothie or drink a cup of lemon water before I have my coffee. Do I do it every day? No. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves?
I think you could do worse than that.
You can, but I'm just saying like if you wake up and you have a shot of vodka every morning and then follow it with 5 more shots, that's a whole other issue. But it's still, everybody's on their own level of their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think more than anything, all of this just shows that people are very complex. I don't think that anyone is absolute. There are many different sides to everyone. And even those who could be perceived to be the worst, maybe there's some redeeming quality. Or maybe that's just what they're here to learn that time around.
Yeah.
So it's okay to call a spade, but I don't know. I don't believe that anyone is absolute or one way or another. It's just,
I agree.
And I think it extends so far beyond who we are now, and that we are the totality of everyone we've been and everyone we're going. And I think life is just one game of improv ultimately at the end of the day. It's like you said.
It really is.
Right? You're good at improv because you listen. If you're thinking too many steps ahead, then it's going to suck.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're trying to be funny or trying to come in with a character, that doesn't always work.
Yeah, my pee-pee joke didn't land. I was trying too hard.
No. Yeah. You're thinking, I got to make a joke.
Yeah. I should just listen.
It's funny you say it because I just have to say this story because it's silly, but Rivers, when he was little, I was so adamant about using
the irony of his name too. Sorry.
Really? Why?
What's the expression about what do people cry?
Cry me a river. I love that song. Yeah. I don't even remember what I was saying now. When he was little. Okay. I always wanted to use the right words. I didn't want him to say slang or little baby talk. So instead of pee-pee, I would say, that is your penis. Like, we would say that. Okay. Every time I hear people refer to as pee-pee, I'm like, it just sounds so stupid,
Yeah.
But anyway.
I own it.
I digress.
It was stupid. My podcast should just be purely improv, which it was. It's not like I had it you
have bullet points, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't. This is from a session I did the other day. No jokes ready to go. No, nothing.
Well, you're good at redirecting. You're like, we got to stop talking about this.
Get good at redirecting someplace that I got us into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, that wasn't. But yeah, sometimes it's like, maybe I don't need to make a joke. But that's one of the lessons I'm working on this time around. Don't always need to be funny. I just think I'm funny. But sometimes I can just let it be. And if the episode is purely not funny, that's fine. I struggle with that, but I'm working on it. It's one big lesson. So with that, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with?
If you're thinking you don't have enough money to do a past life regression, if you're afraid of what might come up, if you don't know if it's real, I would just say there's never going to be enough money. You're never going to know if it is real. You just have to feel it and just do it. Just take the chance and do it, or pay attention, follow your page, and just try and win one too. I'll send you the good juju out there. But it really is a different experience. And it has me wondering, do I want to do another one sometime? I've heard some people on, you've talked about how many different lives you visited. Have you done this for yourself? Can you go in and actually visit past lives yourself, or do you need someone to lead you through? That was a question I had for you.
I think I can, but I don't. Because even for me, I think if I'm too focused on, am I making this up because I don't have anyone guiding me, that I don't know, I think it's easier for me to put my mind at ease when someone is doing it for me.
Okay, nice. I will say too, one thing you wanted me to think about is, what have I done? Is there anything that's changed since the regression? Or how have I changed or whatever? Literally the day after the regression, I picked up watercolors for the first time in I don't know how long. And I've been wanting to. So I have a friend who opened an art studio, and I got this free little watercolor kit, like a to-go kit with the brush that you can put water in. And I always think I'm not good. I loved art class as a kid, but I can't just sit like my children and create. I need to look at a tree or look at a vase or the room. I need something to look at to try and draw or sketch or paint. And I had the set, and all I did was that there was just these little oranges. They weren't grapes. That'd be funny if they were grapes, but it was just like citrus. And I just played around, and it was just fun to just play and get out of my head for a little bit. And since then, I don't paint every day, but I painted a moth that was just a sticker. And my kids are like, wow, Mom, that's actually really good, and it just feels good to do something creative. So I would say that to people too. If you want to do something and you're putting it on the back burner because you don't have time, just do it. I guess that's what I'm saying. Just do it. I feel like that Shia LaBeouf or whoever when he's like, just do it. Do you know what I'm talking about? That was kind of viral when we were younger. No, maybe you're younger than me.
Not by much.
No, okay.
I'm turning 40 in 2 months.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not far off. I'll be 43 in September. But
we were in high school at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean, I was at the tail end.
Same generation. Yeah. But I've also gone back to yoga. It's another thing that I've been putting on the back burner. I don't know if it's because I saw Christian friends posting about poses and like worship. I don't know what got in my head about not doing yoga, but I also saw someone else share like they're just stretches. Like, don't get in your head about stretching. Like, why are you doing this? I'm not chanting. And even if I did, that's okay, But I actually went to yoga today. I did a gentle class at a place called The Roost, and the farmer's market I work for is a big rooster. So it's like funny that I'm going there now, another parallel. But yeah, I've started doing things that I've been putting on the back burner since this regression. Maybe I needed to release that. But at the same time, I'm not only doing things I wanted to do, I also feel like I've had some moments of my body almost detoxing since the regression.
I think that's great advice, not to put anything on the back burner.
We make excuses.
Yeah, present company included. I'll take that to heart. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and being so open and vulnerable. And
said a lot more than I thought.
You did a great job.
It's fun. Thank you.
You were very relatable, and I'm sure that everyone listening feels like they're you and they can relate to you.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for just for being you. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, is there anywhere they can do that?
I'm on Instagram. Just Jen_M_shoe, SCHU, like my last name, not the shoe you wear on your feet.
And it's Jen with one N, correct?
Yeah, Jen with one N. Thank you. Yeah. And the farmer's market I work for is amazing. If you would follow them, Emmaus Farmers Market, that would be outstanding.
I'm sorry, that was
EMM.
EMM?
AUS, yeah. Farmers Market. It's a little town in Emmaus. I love it. It's my church. It's where I go Sundays. And that's one reason I haven't found a church, but that's my community. I love the farmers. I love the vendors. It's great not having a 9 to 5 and being able to just connect with community in that way. And I encourage people to go to their own local farmers markets and just shop, support your local vendors and community and businesses, because stop giving all these big corporations your money. I'm really passionate about things like that. So that's what I would encourage you to do. That's what I do. I do the social media for them too. So.
I'm kind of guilty of that too, because the parking really sucks around the ones around where I am. So
Oh,
it's just,
does it? That's a shame.
yeah, so it's easier for me to go to the grocery store, and also, the hours at the farmers markets, the parking becomes one big excursion. But I think I need to get over that because, yeah, I think it's better
Yeah, you
to
need to
buy
just
local.
go buy local. It's also about talking to the people at the market. You get to know the person who grew your food. There's something so special about that. If you're not out there planting your own garden and you can actually ask someone, well, how did you grow this? They get so excited. If they're growing their own food, make sure it's a producer only market. That's what ours is.
Who knows here?
Yeah, I just have so much respect and admiration for these people and the bakers. And I mean, being a farmer is a hard, hard life.
Well, maybe you're speaking from experience.
Maybe, yeah, yeah.
Maybe
I
this
have
time
always
you're
said,
running to the market.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Oh,
But
that
I do
joke
not
didn't
have,
land quick enough, did it, on my
yeah,
part? I always forget. People are always thinking through the past life lens like I
yeah,
am.
yeah. That's interesting. Well, you have to be.
It's my
But no, I
life.
don't
Yeah.
have a green thumb. That's the thing. Like my houseplants they need water right now.
Well, at least you're keeping the kids alive. Thank you so much for coming on, and
My pleasure.
cheers to the future.
Cheers to the future. Fist bump.
Fist bump. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a sesh with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.